I do have one question, just
Hmm.
transitioning a bit, still a little Christmassy. I had of a question, and I said it to you before we got on. I kind of wish Brian was on this one because
Right.
he is our resident beer expert.
Yes.
He didn't want the title. He may have wanted the title. I don't know, but I'm giving him the title
We're giving him the title. Let's be honest.
because it fits.
Exactly.
But the question is, and there is a story behind it.
Oh boy.
Um, what lengths are you going to drink a beer? Again, this is why I wanted Brian in here because
Right.
he would answer this question more. Um, no offense to you or anything, that, or to make you feel like you're an alcoholic or anything. Just in terms of this question, um, like if you were like if it was a warm beer, or say it was
Yeah.
a beer that you just that you're at like a Christmas party or some party, and the only beer there is like one of the worst beers you just don't
Mm.
like. Are you willing to go after that beer, even though it's there?
Right.
Are you gonna go? Okay, I'm just gonna drink something else,
Honestly, I would say that it definitely depends on. Even though there are some pretty bad beers out there and everything, it depends on the beer.
or if the beer went
Um,
bad.
Definitely the beer one bad. I just wouldn't drink it. Brian probably still would because it's a beer, but you never know. I could be wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Not trying to speak for him, but you know, you never know.
Yeah,
He does like a good beer, especially the best kind of beer he enjoys is a free one.
and cold.
So and cold especially, but and
And
I
that
know for
worst
him,
case, if there's a worst case
if it's a
scenario, he,
warm beer,
yeah,
he'll still drink it. I'm
yep,
telling you. So and you know this. So,
yes, I do.
um, but no. So I would say it. I'm trying not to be like. I hate when I do this, but I try to look at like every possible scenario for this one. I try to look at the whole picture, and I
I
hate
know
doing
you
that
do.
because
I know
it's
you
like,
do.
well, there's this, but then there's that. You know, it's like it depends on the with the beers and anything, this and that. But like, I would say,
Like, what's your limit on that? Like, what's how
yeah,
crazy are you gonna go? Like, how desperate are you to drink that or drink a beer or something like
yeah,
that? Or
yeah.
is it
Like,
just
I would
like
say
if
on a
it,
scale of
or
one
is
to
it like one of
ten,
those things where like
with one being
I'll
the
have it. If I
lowest,
don't, I don't.
I would say like I would say between a scale of 1 to 10, one being almost no desire, 10 being I absolutely would love a drinker and everything. I would say on average like a 3 or a 4. Um,
Okay.
like there's that at the Christmas party and everything at my uncle's and everything. Um, like well, I had a little bit of everything that night. I had a glass of wine with dinner and everything, and then Mike and I we were playing pool. I switched to a beer there, and then for dessert I had some eggnog and put a little Bailey's in it. So I feel like, oh yeah, I know what I'm doing. I think it sounds bizarre, but I feel like it all depends on my mood and everything. Because like most of the time, I'm like I'm pretty easy going where it's almost hit or miss. It's like yeah, I could go for a beer or yeah, I'm good. Um, but yeah, no, like you said, Brian's probably like the perfect person to ask
I
this
know that's
question,
why I wish he was on
and I'm
here,
kind of
but
sad.
the story behind it, I feel like it kind of has to be now because the story that happened was on Christmas Day.
Of
If you wait
course,
a
there
little
you go.
longer, you're getting farther away from Christmas.
Right.
But I had a little laugh to myself there because going back to what my dad said, for some reason when he said you had the eggnog with Bailey's in it, I just had the
Yeah.
same thing because my dad did, in case you were wondering, did like the purchase of the chocolate whiskey. He broke it open
Mhm.
and he said he liked it so much that he put it in his coffee.
I love it.
But so I was at my aunt's, like I said, for Christmas Day, and they had a cup. They had a Corona, a Budweiser, and I think some like some other beer too.
Mhm.
Some Miller Lite, thinking of band.
Like Budweiser, Corona, Miller, anything like that, I'll certainly drink.
Oh
Like,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
It's
because it's beer, but like, yeah. Again, I
yeah.
hate being the objective one, but it's like it honestly all depends.
Mm-hmm. And the more you go to some of those beers, especially if you go like Bud Light or even like Michelob Ultra,
Yeah. So like for
it's more like
example,
watery beer
yeah.
than anything else.
For example, for New Year's and everything, we started with some liquor and stuff like that, but then eventually as we're playing some games, switched to like cores because you know um just having
Yeah.
a good time, but also I eventually had to because I ended up DDing for Tommy, Megan, Danny, and myself, and so
Look at
after
you
a
being the
certain,
responsible one.
I try, man, I try. But yeah, so after a while, I was like, all right, this is the last one, ending it here. But so like when I knew it was getting to a certain point of like now because I felt pretty good during the whole night and nothing like crazy, but like I felt pretty good to the point where it's like okay, like I'm riding good, riding nice here and everything, and then by like 10:30 or so, I was like, all right, I'm all good. Let's just enjoy the rest of the night because we basically left like right like five. Actually, no, that's a lie. Our original plan was to leave 5 2 minutes after the ball dropped. What actually happened because of people, we didn't leave until like a half hour after the ball dropped.
That sounds about right.
So
I've been to New Year's parties where it's like you don't get out there till like the half hour after it drops
exactly.
because you're just in the middle of talking to someone or just something like that. Just so
Exactly. I mean that, but also like like everyone's having a good time, and I was still having a good time and everything like that. I'm like, I don't want to leave yet, but it was like obviously the big word for New Year's Eve, and this is why like honestly, I don't mind like the low key New Year's Eve parties or anything like that, or just not doing a whole lot where you definitely don't even have to go anywhere. Is you know the driving factor is if you're drinking, have a good time, obviously.
that's why my neighbors is always great because I can just walk to them.
Exactly. So that's really
That's
nice too. But yeah, so like our goal was to be home by 1. And then Brian's like 25 minutes from me. So it's honestly because Tommy and Megan, they drove up from Megan's parents' house by me to Delaware. And then we all got ready here and then drove over to Brian's together. And then I drove us back.
gotcha.
Um, then they left the next day. But yeah. So, but going back to the beer question, no. I definitely love a good beer and everything, but I would say in this scenario to try to wrap this up.
So no, I still haven't said my story yet either.
Oh,
So
I'm sorry. Let's say
I was getting ready to say tell my story, but like I was saying, uh, so I went with the Budweiser, which is a bottle. So I'm drinking it, and I noticed no difference to it. I'm looking at the bottle. I look at the expiration date. Christmas Day is the 25th.
yep.
The beer said best by December 5th.
Oh,
I tasted no difference at all. I was like, okay, I'll just finish it.
okay. All right. Maybe that's why you weren't feeling so great the other day.
No, I was already kind of feeling it that
Ah,
morning
gotcha,
or
gotcha.
that day. So it was already something it's not, yeah. Anyways, I was like, oh, I didn't realize my first thing when I saw I was like, oh, I didn't know beer went bad. Like I'm sure it does,
Honestly,
but I never really
yeah.
think of it of seeing like a Best Buy on a beer. It's like, oh, that's interesting. And then I saw the day, I was like, oh, this beer's 20 days old.
Yeah. Whoopsies.
So that's why I asked the question. It's like, are you willing to drink
Yeah.
20-day-old beer? I did,
Um,
and I'm fine. It's cold.
yeah.
It was cold.
It was cool. Oh my God. I
But
love it. It was cool.
after that one I just went with the Corona. I was like, I'll just go with one 20-day old beer.
Yeah.
So that's where my limit
Good
is on the
choice.
question is about 5,
20 days.
about 20 days. 21's pushing it, but 20 is probably the limit.